We are now just over the halfway mark for debunking Mark Sargent's Flat Earth Clue series. This is episode 8. I think there are 15 episodes in total, and so far in this series we've not really met anything with substance. Perhaps that will change today. Or perhaps it won't. That's more likely, isn't it? Roll the titles. Hello all and welcome along to another video with me, Simon Dan. Thanks very much for joining me. Right, let's crack on with this one then, shall we? This week, Mark seems to be in a reflective mood as he starts to talk about the why of it all. Here we go.
This flat Earth perspective takes a look at the design from the ever-present why standpoint. And although it will review some of the dome technical features already discussed, I'll try to do it from a different angle, or more specifically, why I might build it. Someone mentioned to me recently that while the dome was a very big concept, it made the world much smaller. Kind of like what Admiral Byrd expressed in an interview all those years ago. This someone also said that it made them sad, which I understood. And while I did what I could to comfort this person, I realized that I could have done more. So this video is for the people who look upon this world with their new eyes and start drifting into a state of melancholy.
I don't think you could have done more, Mark. You should have done less. Like, not suggest their world was a giant class prison without any evidence. That would have been the most helpful thing to do.
To preface, this isn't jail, nor are you lab rats. And before I'm done, I hope to show you a version of why. To start, let's look at an old story, one that you may have heard, involving another enclosed world, kind of like yours. I say kind of like yours because the finished design that you are sitting in right now took several revisions in just about every aspect.
Several revisions? Mark, the universe has been working flawlessly for around 13.8 billion years. We're all good, I think.
Much like any project. You come up with ideas, you see what works and what doesn't, and you improve the process until you come up with something that, while not everyone agrees upon, satisfies the best of all criteria. One of the first dome layouts involved a race of people who were supremely driven by ambition. They didn't have a word for lazy or fear. They absorbed knowledge very quickly, incorporating physics, advanced electronics, engineering, and drove their technology with energy from the enclosed world itself. And when their technology had reached the point where the dome structure was discovered in its entirety, there was no reaction of wonder and awe. They just looked up and squinted at the sky.
So this race in the first dome embraced physics, advanced electronics and engineering. Well, definitely no flat earthers in that race then. I'm joking, of course, but probably weren't.
Eventually, those squints turned into glares. Oh, they had religion to be sure, and it was tied to their daily lives, but to them, this wasn't religion. It was a challenge. Almost like they weren't that impressed. Hard to fathom, right? Seeing that your world had borders, but instead of being afraid, shaking your fist at the sky with arrogance. But that's what they did. So much confidence and might that when they found out where they really were, a new priority was created. At first, they dedicated broadcast channels to calling the dome builders out, demanding answers, and ran them day and night. At the end of each cycle, the words kept repeating, "We know."
Well, this is ironic, because in the real world, the ones pushing this dome narrative are the ones who don't know, or refuse to.
But arrogance ebbs at patience, and their demands were met with silence, which was taken as blatant dismissal. This fueled their ambition even more. The people withdrew all their efforts from breaching the outer barrier and formed a new plan. If the creators were not going to submit, then they would build a bridge and meet them at the gates. So a building was designed. But to call it a building was to call the pyramids a sand castle. It was the greatest structure ever conceived, at least to them. It was to be over 30 miles wide, and hundreds of miles high, enough to reach the dome ceiling itself, where they would meet the builders face to face. They abandoned nature completely and pushed aside ecologic systems to accomplish their goal.
Well, this is definitely a work of fiction then, because there's no way you're building something like that. From an engineering standpoint alone, that structure would be completely impossible.
They cannibalized entire mountain ranges, which they used to admire and love, to acquire the raw material for the awesome structure. The work crews built with flawless precision, and it was obvious that it was going to succeed. A bridge to the edge of the sky itself. The work would only pause long enough for the mighty armies below to look up and yell, "We come for you," so loudly that on a clear day you could actually feel the dome shake. And the creators, faced with their first great challenge, decided to start again. And the people were changed, their language fragmented so that the builders couldn't continue. The tower was dismantled, their technology removed and forgotten, and the people scattered.
I see what's going on here. You're retelling the story of the Tower of Babel, aren't you? What Mark is describing here in this story is not supported by any archaeological, geological, or historical evidence.
A new group was introduced to the dome, divided in every way imaginable, so that unity was next to impossible, and everything slowed down. Languages evolved and devolved into other dialects, and the languages produced text, which produced different forms of culture, and some amazing things began to happen, the most important of which was the arts. The dome builders saw the artistic pool develop into several distinct forms. Everything drawn in any medium on a flat surface. Everything molded that took on a three-dimensional shape. Everything that produced music. All things that make up the human form and motion, and all the written works. Pictures, sculptures, music, dance, literature, the arts. Driven by passion, it is the very essence of what is good in humanity.
Whilst the arts are indeed one of the most celebrated aspects of the human species, it doesn't fit his designed enclosure framework. Archaeology and anthropology clearly shows art developing alongside other human skills over tens of thousands of years, with examples like the Lascaux cave paintings in France, and musical instruments dating back over 40,000 years. These artifacts are tied to real human history on Earth, not evidence of a controlled environment under a dome.
Once this was recognized, all dome methods put in place were to cultivate and enhance this process. Land masses were adjusted with geology and temperature to support every kind of terrain, with mountains, rivers, oceans, plains, forests, jungles, deserts, all of it stunning, all of it stimulating the human mind, nourishing it. And the modifications continued, with seemingly endless shades of weather. The sky was overhauled, a moon added, and layers upon layers upon layers of stars, so that one day, when the people were able to see further than their own eyes, there would still be something new to see.
The idea that all of this was deliberately engineered for human stimulation does not align with the vast amount of independent evidence. From astronomy, physics, and earth science, the patterns that we see in nature are the result of predictable, measurable processes in an open universe. Patterns that we can actually look at in the past as well, long before humans were ever around.
And the arts flourished, but there was a cost. The languages and division of cultures had put the population at odds, and wars were raging at regular intervals. The dome builders debated if the price was too high. Plans were drawn up to make more changes, until they noticed that the arts thrived even through the worst of conflicts, producing grace and beauty despite their burning world. It was wonderful and terrible at the same time, and the debate outside the barrier continued to intensify until a majority spoke out and said, "This world is a creative force, and we must see what it leads to."
Of course, what we actually see instead of this nonsense is humanity shaping its own path within an open, natural environment, with progress and setbacks and creativity driven by our own choices and circumstances, not by the intervention of fictional overseers, of which there's absolutely no evidence for.
The barrier must be hidden at all costs. So the globe model was put into the population, and both science and religion adapted to it. The arts grabbed onto it like a new drug, the creative minds of the world exploding with new concepts. Their universe was now infinite, and the rules changed. Science then led to science fiction, which opened up everything else. Books, pictures, sculptures, dance, and music, all reaching deep into space, decade after decade of wonderful possibilities, rising above the ashes that were at their feet.
Mark's comment on science fiction is accurate in one sense. Our understanding of the cosmos has inspired imagination, but rather than that being evidence for a cover-up, it's a testament to the human ability to dream beyond our immediate surroundings, something made possible by real-world exploration and technology.
And it's not just the artists, it's everyone. You affect others, who affect others, who inspire others, who build it, paint it, sculpt it, sing it, who then put it up on a pedestal and hold it under the light and say, this is a piece of who we are. And for every one of them, there are hundreds of others who, for whatever reason, were unable to express the songs and images and stories that are in their heads. Imagination is far more important than knowledge because it is limitless. It is your shield, your sword against the cruelty of destructive forces.
Whilst imagination is indeed vital for human progress, it works best when paired with knowledge. In science, imagination proposes the possibilities, but evidence and reason decide which ones are real. Without that balance, imagination can create compelling stories, like this dome narrative Mark's talking about, that simply don't match the measurable reality we live in.
There are those right now who live in chaos, whose life is surrounded by a swirling nightmare from which they think they'll never escape. These are the true warriors of the world, and they are far braver than me. I am humbled by those who suffer the most. Know that mountains were built for you, oceans were built for you. All of this was built for you, your struggles, and your trials by fire. It may be today, it may be tomorrow, but one day the curtain will close and this stage will be struck. And when the dust settles, no matter where you are right now, you'll see the big picture and have new eyes, and you will be shown what wonder really is.
I'll take things that will never happen for $200, please. Honestly, Mark, this piece of creativity you're sharing right now is lovely, but it's just that. Creativity, a work of fiction, and backed by no observable or testable science.
And as you leave this most magnificent of theaters, heading towards the next, my hope is that you'll pause, look back at the stage and say, I was actually in it, you know, right there in the thick of things. And it was a sight to see. Because it really is a hell of a ride. Imagine what the next one will be like.
That curtain closing metaphor is compelling as a piece of fiction. But again, it's just that, fiction. All available evidence shows that we live in an open, natural universe with no enclosing barrier, no stage crew, and definitely no scripted endings. The wonders of our world, from the vastness of the night sky to the deep intricacies of life, are no less amazing for being real. In fact, I think they're more profound, because they're not designed to impress us. We've discovered them through exploration, curiosity, and science. And that's the key point. We don't need to imagine a big giant dome to feel awe. The Earth, as it truly is, offers more wonder than any enclosed set ever could. The real ride is the journey we take in understanding it. A journey that's open to everyone who's willing to look. Well, there we go. What do we think of that story from Mark there? Let me know in the comments below what you thought and how good that video was from him. As I say, we're all done and dusted for another one. Thanks so much for watching today. As ever, it's appreciated. If you enjoyed it, please do consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the thumbs up button too. I've been Simon Dan. Have yourselves a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow where I'm taking on Russell Brand. See you then.